Hey guys, this is Jordan. Thanks for listening to this episode of the podcast. I just want to remind you to make sure to find us on social media. We are on X, Instagram, Facebook. We're also on YouTube, so you can subscribe to us there. We want to hear from you. Reach out.
And you can support us by going to our Patreon at Patreon/Principalities and Powers. We also have PayPal and we also have Bitcoin, and all those links are in the description. Also, this will be a spoiler heavy episode for the movie review. So let's take it away and get into it.
Let's do it.
Oh, you think darkness is your ally? You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it, molded by it.
For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, against flesh and blood, against flesh.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
But against principalities, against powers, against powers, against powers.
Ideological subversion is the slow process which we call either ideological subversion or psychological warfare. What it basically means is to change the perception of reality.
And against the rulers of the darkness of this age, the darkness of this age, the darkness of this age.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
So it's the mid-2000s. I'm in perhaps junior high or high school. I can't quite remember. And Skyler, who is my brother, which some of you may not know, we go to a native reserve in the city of Calgary where a guy is running a wrestling school. And that is a pro wrestling school, as in WWE. And I was about 14 or 15 at the time, if I remember correctly. And we drive there in our parents' minivan. And for a few months, I go there and I train in professional wrestling. And I learn it all. I learn bumping, if anyone knows the vernacular here. We learn to run off the ropes, all those kind of things. We even practice promos, that kind of stuff. And we learn the art. And I want to say this very specifically. It's not a sport, it's an art.
Yeah.
It's a form of art, professional wrestling. And it is, I will fight anyone on this. It is absolutely art. It is performance art.
Yep. No different than a play or a musical, really.
Absolutely.
Or a movie.
Yeah.
A movie, you know.
Precisely. It is athletic performance art. You know.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Correct.
And I think it's a beautiful art form. I think it's a distinctly North American art form. I mean, I know there are probably some British versions.
There's a lot of wrestling culture around the world.
Yes.
There really is.
But Mexico, part of North America.
Yeah.
It's
part of North America.
Canada and America.
Yeah.
North America. And
don't forget Japan.
Yeah. But Japan came later after World War II.
They did, yes.
Into the wrestling game. Professional wrestling. Okay. When we were growing up, our favorite pastime was watching the WWE. Then it was F when I think we started watching.
Yep.
And it was during what is called the Attitude Era. So think
even before that, I just think you were too young to remember. We'd watch with our dad in the early 90s.
Well, I remember the WCW and all that.
No, we'd watch WWF in the early 90s too.
Okay, yeah.
When it would come on.
I remember WCW and onward.
Yeah.
So like mid 90s to kind of early 2000s. And we grew up in the Attitude Era. So think Stone Cold Steve Austin, think The Undertaker,
Mankind,
The Rock.
Yep.
All of these guys.
DX.
Yes. Triple H. These guys defined the Attitude Era. And the Attitude Era was something quite spectacular in sports entertainment, I will say.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And going back and looking at it, I love to go back and look at YouTube clips.
I know, it's the best.
And it is just absolutely phenomenal.
The stuff they did.
And it was so not supposed to be for primetime television.
Oh, man.
There was so much innuendo. So much just like things that weren't meant for kids, but here we are, kids watching it. And we were inspired by this. We were obsessed with this. I remember we would just every Monday Night Raw, it was like we were planning for that night. That was like the highlight of our week.
Yeah, totally.
As a 12, 13-year-old for me.
Yeah.
And it really shaped a lot of our childhood, our love of professional wrestling. Now, I will say, Skyler and I, brothers, if you didn't know, again, we took a crack at professional wrestling. It didn't stick with me. I ended up kind of getting into other things and didn't quite stick with me. But Skyler, you kept going with it. You ran with it for quite a while, and you ran on the indie wrestling circuit in Western Canada.
Yeah. I'm super blessed to just be able to meet the people that I did when I did. We were training we started training in 03.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely was 03 because I had already got my permanent job by 04, and I had already been training for quite a while by then, and had started to kind of work my way into shows when I was 17. Had a lot of great mentors from the time. Now I'm not really going to mention names because I don't want people to get conflated, because we're going to say a lot of controversial things all the time, and some of these people are extremely successful, and I don't want my controversial takes to be associated with them. So just so we're clear, nobody from that time frame knows what we're talking about or probably condones what we're talking about, anything like that. But anyways, just a little disclaimer because I don't want to, I want to give these people their due without, getting all controversial on them. So, yeah, so I was trained by the great Bad News Allen.
Mm-hmm. I trained with him a little bit too.
You did too. And also lucky enough to also be mentored a bit during those sessions by Gamma Singh, who is a Stampede wrestling legend as well. And from there I just worked my way into Stampede wrestling shows. I'd show up, help set up the ring. Then they'd give me little spots here or there. They'd let me ref. I refed a lot. I refed a ton. That's how I kind of learned what to do. It's a really good spot if you want to learn is to learn how to ref. The problem is once you get stuck reffing because nobody else wants to ref, then you're the only ref. And so sometimes it's hard to get spots once you're doing that. So I went from there, and then I wrestled. I stopped around 08 is when I stopped, just because I had so much stuff going on in life. I was burning candles at every single end of my life, like wrestling, doing music in the church, and then just personal, and then career obligations, so. I was running to shows midweek. And
your daughter, your first child, was born not long after that.
In 09. Yeah. So I had to give something up, and that's what I chose. I'm still not sure if it was the right choice, but anyways, it was really cool to kind of see how you craft this, how you suck people into your reality. Because this thing, when you go into a venue and this ring is set up, when the squared circle is set up, you're no longer on planet Earth. You're on planet Earth in name only. You are now in the reality that is wrestling.
Yes.
And so there's,
and it is a constructed reality.
Correct.
It is a artificial reality, but a black hole nonetheless.
Yes, but it's also one that you accept. You
Yes.
know, so it's by your own. Unless you're a little kid and you don't know it, like Santa Claus or something like that. But you are consenting once you walk through that gate and you've paid for your ticket. You are consenting now to suspend your disbelief.
Absolutely. There's a scene, I'm sure everyone will know this scene in The Matrix, where I can't remember his name. He's the main antagonist in the first film, one of the primary antagonists. And he knows
Agent Smith?
No. The one who's on the ship with Neo.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. Sorry. Yeah. But he knows the Matrix is not real. But he wants to be in the Matrix.
He wants to taste that sweet, sweet steak.
Yeah. And this is not in that nefarious way as is presented in the Matrix, but this is sort of what professional wrestling is like. You enter the Matrix and you willingly suspend your disbelief and you enter the world. You embody yourself in that world and you play the part. Almost you're a participator in the.
I would say as the person observing in the crowd, you are the main participant of the whole show. You are the main thing.
Absolutely, and there's something about sort of this, for lack of a better term, like this collective consciousness that comes together and everyone makes it happen. Like
we all agree that this is real now for now.
Yes.
And there's something really powerful about that.
That is a great way to put it. And we're just trying to set the stage here about professional wrestling, and people might be like, what the hell are these guys on about? But we got a point here. We're getting to it. Just follow us, okay? There was something magical about professional wrestling. Despite the fiction of it, it is a useful fiction. Correct. It is a fiction, again, that we voluntarily enter into. And this kind of segues into the movie by Stephen Spielberg, Disclosure Day. If anyone's heard about it, it is his latest film that he came specifically out of retirement to film, and he is no stranger to alien films. But we thought this was very important for us to cover this movie, specifically for the topics that we cover. We thought it would be prescient for us to explore this film and what exactly it means in the current zeitgeist. But long story short, the film itself opens with a wrestling scene.
Yep, it sure does.
The film, let me say that again. The film opens, the opening scene is a guy getting a crossbar over the chest and crossbody over the chest and slamming on the mat.
Yeah.
And this immediately piqued my interest. I don't know. What were your thoughts about this? Immediately seeing this.
I mean, man, it's going to be hard to articulate without really putting my thoughts together and writing it out. But to me, it was a signal, almost like it was a kind of a read in between the lines here. You're agreeing to what you're about to see. So everything we just laid out, this kind of corporate agreement that we as the observers are going to watch this thing and consent that it is real as long as we are all in agreement that it is real.
It's almost like our, for lack of a better term, collective consciousness kind of manifests it into reality. And we, based on our faith and our belief in the topic, we make it real for us in that moment.
Yeah. But also, remember, pro wrestling. isn't real, right? It's not real. So
It's
let's
not real.
So let's keep that in mind. I don't mean it as a disrespect to any workers listening. We mean it in the very.
It's a beautiful art form.
We mean it in the very literal sense. There's actually no like competition for a belt. It's all storyline.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we agree to that. It's great, but it's not a real competition, athletic competition in the way that that it's presented. Right? It's sports entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
So again, we're going into this movie with a very clear picture, a very clear analogy of what we're about to see. Now, I don't know. Sorry. I almost think it's a bit of a Freudian slip to do that, or they're mocking us, or Spielberg's mocking us. I don't know.
I don't know if this was intentional, but I feel like.
But so this scene could have been. He could have reproduced, because the whole point of this scene is that one of our protagonists, his name is Daniel Kellner, and he's basically betrayed his private corporation private military contractor overlords, and the whole
which is basically Lockheed Martin.
Yeah.
It's Skunk Works.
Yeah.
If you want the real world analogy. To
Yes, correct.
An analogous company.
Yeah, and so the whole point of this scene is that he's wearing a backpack with all of this data, all of these memory sticks in it, and some crazy stuff in it. And what happens is, because there's such a big crowd cheering up and down and there's so much movement, the agents from his company are able to kind of surround him and then tell him, like, listen, we're taking this backpack off of you. You know, next time everyone stands up to cheer, let go of your backpack and we'll be on our way. And then he doesn't. But we could have had this scene in any other way. It could have been a busy subway. It could have been it could have been delivered in
A baseball game.
Like, why pro wrestling? Why?
It's a question that's been gnawing at me since, well, at the time of recording last night, we watched the film.
Yeah. It's very strange.
Because of our knowledge of pro wrestling, and because you and I both sort of have this paradigm, this model of politics, that we view politics through the lens of professional wrestling.
Correct.
In that, professional wrestling is mostly storylines and directors who are guiding the storylines. But it doesn't mean that those storylines are always necessarily fake. Sometimes
they stem from real things, for
Yes.
sure. Some of them do.
And they will exploit real locker room beefs.
Yeah, CM Punk is the absolute king of that.
Yes.
Cutting crazy promos on how he actually feels about being booked, and then just kind of massaging it a little bit to make it more about his opponent or whatever.
Yeah.
Or maybe the company overall, but not his real beef, but he's still working from his real beef. There's also the famous Matt Hardy and Edge affair story with Lita. So Matt Hardy and Lita used to date in the early, I think it was,
and these are former superstars in the WWE.
mega superstars. And so they used to date way back in like the late 2000s, early 2000s.
Early 2000s. Late 90s?
Yeah, late 90s, early 2000s is what I meant exactly. And then eventually what happened is they kind of broke up, and then this other wrestler, Edge, started dating her. And I guess the rumor was that Edge kind of stole her from Matt or whatever. And then like a year or two later, they actually turned that into a real storyline. And you could tell there was, I think I could tell looking at it, but man, they really sold it. Like there was some genuine heat there and some genuine animosity. And they had like a crazy run just based on that very real world situation that happened, that they then turned into a storyline and a professional situation. And as far as I know, they're all cool with each other.
And the WWE does all sorts of things like this. Like they really exploit Vince McMahon. I mean, Vince McMahon's kind of distanced himself, I guess, lately because of some scandals. But they sort of really exploited the kind of a-hole boss that everyone wants to get one up on, right?
Yeah.
And he leans into that, and he is 100%. He is 100% that guy. He is the character.
Yeah, and then we have that phenomena where it's like he acts like everything that you
would expect.
Yeah, would expect, and he'll even go even further than you would expect. Like he really leans into it. It's crazy.
And this is the art of professional wrestling.
Correct.
There is some reality to it. It's not entirely manufactured. It is partly true, but it is also a fictionalized version of real events. It's almost like a historical fiction, if you will.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
In a lot of ways. And but we're going to use some pro wrestling terms, and we'll try and keep people up to speed about what these pro wrestling terms mean. There's a whole vernacular in the industry, right?
Yep.
So you used one you called heat.
Right.
Heat is sort of like
it's cheering or booing at its very like most broken down way you can think of it. It's if you're in the ring, you're the bad guy, you want them booing your ass the entire time. If you're the good guy fighting that bad guy, you want them every time you land a punch or you come back on that bad guy who's beating your ass, you want the crowd going crazy.
Yeah.
So that's heat.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of other terms, but the most important term that I want people to cling on to today, which will be important because this is politics. This is the politics of professional wrestling, which is what you and I all exist in. And I assure you it is true. We have Donald Trump as the leader of the most powerful nation that has ever existed on the planet Earth. And he himself had a stint in professional wrestling. And
which is so crazy.
Isn't an accident. And he himself has now become the alien disclosure president.
Yeah, how crazy is that?
All of these interrelated connections that just cannot be by accident. I digress. The most important term we need to be aware of, and Skyler, I'll get you to explain what this means and define it as best as you can, and that is the word kayfabe, because most people won't understand that word. What does kayfabe mean, as you, someone who was in the industry for a number of years?
So kayfabe basically means that you are creating and maintaining that reality when you're, so remember how I talked about once you walk into the venue, you're now no longer on planet Earth. So now the best way I could describe it is kayfabe is that you can kind of compare it to fourth wall acting.
Yes.
A little bit.
A great way to put it.
So now, okay, so in the universe of the venue where you're wrestling, that's your Earth. Okay, that's your reality. So now when you leave that venue, now you're an astronaut from that reality in another reality. So now you've gone from the wrestling reality into what we would call the real world, but you're still your wrestling reality. So like someone who was really good at this for years and years was The Undertaker. Never broke character ever anywhere. If you walked up to him there's like countless stories. You can just YouTube it. He tells them himself and like laughs about it in podcasts now. So in the kind of Stampede era of wrestling, which was, the 80s, the 90s, the 70s too, I believe. Kayfabe was a really big thing. Like if you were a bad guy, a villain, and someone saw you out at the grocery store and they came up to you, you kind of had to still treat that person like you didn't like them because they're a fan, right? Like you had to still act like a villain. And then the opposite if you were, a face, a baby face, a good guy. So you're kind of just, you're keeping the secrets of the industry, and you're also acting like you are, like you're always on. Basically, like you're working at that point. That would be kind of my clumsy way of describing kayfabe.
I think that's a great way to put it. It is sort of like you're keeping the magic alive around the mythology of the created reality of professional wrestling.
Exactly.
Right. And that's a word I think we're gonna continue to come back to, is the word of kayfabe, because I think it's a great model to view everything that
politics for sure. And a lot of what is going on with disclosure it's a political phenomenon just as much as it is anything else, because it is politicians and policy that is happening in order to bring about this so-called disclosure. Yes.
But anyways, this is the opening salvo of the film, and we wanted to kind of open with this to set the stage, if you will.
Yeah. It was too prescient for us not to mention, because
we just had to talk about this because it was very it was just like
too on the nose for me.
For us, for in our context, it was like,
and how we already think about this topic specifically.
It was almost like Spielberg in the film just completely buried the lead by opening the whole film with a wrestling scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get into it a little bit.
Yeah,
though. Let's get more into the
no more wrestling.
Yeah,
this isn't a wrestling podcast.
What are your overall thoughts on the film, Skyler?
Okay, well, as we were talking before a bit in the preamble, I think the acting was excellent, really good. So yeah, no fault there. But basically everything else I didn't really like. It was way too long. They could have had just as good of a story in an hour and 45 minutes that they did in 2 hours and 30 minutes. Like it was ridiculously long for the payoff that we got at the end. And so for me, it's like a 2 point. It's a 2 out of 5 for me. That's what it is.
Fair enough.
Wait for it to come out on Netflix or Prime. Don't spend your money and go and see it. Please don't sue me.
So I may have had a bit of a better opinion of it.
Mm-hmm.
Not much though. I'm close. I'm close to where you're at. I agree. The acting actually was very strong. Absolutely hated the score of the film. Spielberg's just like, it was a very like 70s orchestral, 70s, 80s orchestral thing that was going on. And I get like Spielberg is a boomer and his heyday was in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. But it should have, the style should have changed. And it was John Williams who did the score of,
that's crazy.
Of Star Wars fame. But you could tell it was John Williams that did the score.
Yeah.
Which it just didn't feel like it fit. And the other jarring thing about this film, and again, we gave a spoiler alert in the beginning, is it's a little jarring because it's actually like a chase film.
Yeah.
Which you don't really get in the trailers. Man. And I, like you were saying, chase films don't need to be 2.5 hours long.
Definitely not. Well, they can be if they're a really good chase film.
Maybe.
Like Mad Max Fury Road.
Sure.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Like that's a good chase film.
Yeah. It was definitely a chase film. It was definitely a hero's journey film with Margaret's character. She starts in ambiguity and then
that's so ambiguous.
I wouldn't say ambiguity, but
she's on TV.
Yeah, I know, but ambiguity in the sense of the story.
Sure,
and then
sure.
she becomes the chosen one. Right. And that's kind of the her story arc. It's very hero's journey. Again, this is very boomer-esque. And I think I've already seen a lot of people make this comment, so I'm not saying it's original to me, but Skyler even made it and he hadn't seen much reviews.
Yeah, I haven't seen any reviews of it.
Yeah.
It's just not in my algorithm for whatever reason. And it's the most boomery take of this phenomena that I think any boomer could ever have.
Yeah. and we'll get into more of the like very boomer perspectives on this topic. But I don't want to overdo that here. So yeah. So there's a few core like story points, and the one is the MacGuffin. And if anyone doesn't know what a MacGuffin is, it's like a plot point. It's usually an object or device in a story that helps move the story along and helps motivate the characters. So
like the ring in Lord of the Rings,
in Lord of the Rings, the Sorcerer's Stone in Harry Potter. There's a lot. It's Infinity Stones in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? Like it's kind of a trope. And they have a MacGuffin like this. Now they had actually two MacGuffins. So, but the one MacGuffin that I'm referring to here is there is this ancient alien device that is like a very small rod or crystal rock like thing with a little bit of alien symbols on it.
Yeah, it's like a small. It's dark in color. It almost looks like a piece of steel, dark steel or iron with alien hieroglyphics on it.
And essentially, when you hold it and touch it with your bare skin and squeeze it, you get Marvel superpowers.
Yeah,
right. Like
it's not well explained either, but
it doesn't need to be. Some people complain about that. I reject the notion that things need to be super well explained.
That's fair, but I just feel like a little more explanation could have been done, because I was paying pretty close attention to like the little comments and stuff they made about it before it was actually used. And there's basically no explanation other than the amount of pressure that you put on it that somehow affects what you're doing. But I have like, there's
it sort of interacts.
And this thing does a lot of different things, which is a weird thing.
Yeah. Well, it sort of interacts with your consciousness, which is consistent with UFO lore. Is consciousness is a big part that plays in.
You know what just dawned on me? It's basically a philosopher's stone.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is
yeah, totally. And it's sort of, but it gives you a Marvel superhero superpowers.
Yeah,
which is a little
in the
tacky
alchemical belief system. That is what the great work.
Fair enough. I found it a little tacky. To use that as a device, as a MacGuffin. The other MacGuffin they had was the character. Oh, can you remind me his name again?
Yeah, Kellner.
Kellner, right?
Yeah.
Daniel Kellner is a whistleblower, and he works for this private military contractor called "quote unquote" Warducks, which is Wardeck or something. Wardeck, yeah. Which is really just Lockheed Martin Skunk Works.
Yeah.
If anyone knows.
Or just think of any military contractor.
Sure, yeah. The top of mind to me is Skunk Works, but yeah, this is, he works for them and he becomes a whistleblower, and he basically steals all these files and downloads them onto these hard drives and is going to release them to the world. This is the entire premise of Disclosure Day. He is going to disclose the alien reality, quote unquote reality, or one might call it kayfabe. Yeah. So that's the other MacGuffin, but the main MacGuffin is it's actually three devices that three different people have.
There's three of them.
And they can do they have all these different powers when they use them. So they have telepathy. They can possess people. They can make themselves disappear. They can make themselves appear as different people, right? So that is like one of the main plot things. Wasn't a huge fan of that plot device. Again, I just found it very Marvel-esque. It felt like super.
How about the hard drives though?
That was more realistic. That was more grounded.
Yeah,
certainly more grounded.
Yeah, I think that was okay
in the film. Yeah. And then one of the main characters is sorry, give me his name again. The Kellner, his girlfriend. She is a former nun.
Or nun apprentice or something.
Nun in training.
Yeah, nun in training. And her name is Eve, of course. Oh, I didn't even realize it. Yeah, her name. Yeah, her name is Eve.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Sorry, that's her real name. Her name is Jane. Sorry.
Oh,
sorry,
right.
Sorry, I screwed that up. I mixed them up. Her real name is Eve.
Actress name.
Yeah, which I think is interesting. But
that's almost more interesting.
Yeah, that is more interesting. But her name in the movie is Jane.
Sure. Okay, fair. So Jane is essentially Kellner's girlfriend, and she kind of tags along. She's the buddy cop with him. She is a former nun, and she's the one asking all of these existential questions. Like, what is disclosure going to do for religion, right? What is it going to do for our belief in God? And it is interesting to me, it's interesting to note that it only specifically addresses the Catholic Church. This is just an aside. You can riff on this if you think I'm way off or not. But really only the Catholic Church is the only major Christian institution which has a systematic approach to the alien subject.
Yeah, they're all about it.
Yeah.
Like it's weird that they chose the Catholics because
America is Protestant.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, America is the Western nations are, I hate to say it, but they're Protestant.
Yeah, mostly.
Yeah. Like you have Latin countries that are Catholic, but like she wasn't like a pastor's kid or something from an evangelical church. She was specifically
that might have almost worked better, honestly.
It might have.
Yeah. Because so here's the thing: is the Vatican and the big tent Catholic Church has a very, like you said, systematic like theology for dealing with this. Like that's the one church, like Christian church or Christian organization or
institution,
institution that is okay with this. They have their own xenobiologists, which are like people who study alien or are looking for aliens at least, and they have all their own scientists who constantly are at their own observatories, and there's a lot of weird lore around that, but maybe we won't get into that right now. But yeah, if there's any church that is like not going to have that really kind of issue with it, it would be the Catholic Church, because they've already worked it out. They're okay with aliens. They don't care. The Pope has already said they'd baptize them.
Yep.
He's literally said, you can Google it.
Yeah, like, they will give them if they sort of accept Christ, they can partake of the Eucharist and be baptized and blah blah blah.
Yep.
And this is sort of unique to the Catholic Church in particular. It's not evangelical. It's not orthodoxy. It is particular to the Catholic Church.
And I wonder if this just goes back to Spielberg's boomer mindset, because
I don't know.
Because maybe the Catholic Church in the 60s and 70s may have been more opposed to this. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I think it's only there was a lot of notes that if you're not up to speed on the UFO lore, let's just call it UFO lore for now, UFO kayfabe.
Yeah.
If you're not up to speed, you won't really catch it, right? So right now we're catching the whole. It's like they specifically chose Catholicism, and like I get like Martin Scorsese and stuff. A lot of. You could just chalk it up to a lot of directors like the aesthetic of Catholicism, so they choose Catholicism. But I think there was something a little more going on here in the choice of Catholicism, because to me it seems like the Catholic Church in particular has delved far more into this topic than other Christian institutions like the Baptists or the Anglicans or anyone else.
Yes, they have. For sure they have.
Especially of like the American persuasion. And the setting is in the USA, right? So so that's just one thought on it. But like I said, there's a lot of UFO lore here that is invoked in the film.
It's all of it.
It's just constantly. Yeah. I don't know it. I know for a fact Spielberg is interested in this stuff.
Well, I mean, Close Encounters of the Third Kind was made how many years ago?
He literally made
E.T.
He made a character modeled after Jacques Vallée, right?
Yes.
Like in Close Encounters.
The great ufologist.
Yeah, who is like the preeminent ufologist, right? So he's considered the Pope of ufology.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
If you will. There is UFO lore that the vast majority of the audience probably won't pick up on, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Unless you're steeped in it like I am or like you are. Like, yeah, you wouldn't know that everything you see in this movie is already a well-known trope from the kind of community and has been talked about for decades and decades and decades. What else? So here's a good one. So in the movie, there's a bunch of scenes with specific animals. In it, there's a cardinal, there's a fox, there's a raccoon, and there's an elk.
Yeah.
The raccoon actually just makes one scene when they're all is in one scene when like at the very kind of in the third act at the very end, which is weird. I wonder if they cut something there, but all the other three are in there. And then so the very first scene where we see sort of this awakening of Margaret is a cardinal scene where a cardinal flies into her and her boyfriend's apartment through an open window and lands on their table and locks eyes with her. And she basically has I can't remember the term for it. I was just in first aid. I should remember, but it's basically a micro seizure where you just freeze up.
Mm-hmm.
And then the boyfriend is like, oh, okay. And kind of notices how his girlfriend is staring at it. And then he just kind of shoos it out of their apartment and it's whatever. And then she kind of snaps out of it. And then they both sit down. I think they were eating breakfast together. So their breakfast was already on the table. And they both sit down and she starts talking to him in fluent Russian. Like he understands it. And so he's like sitting there and he's like, okay, like what's going on? He's like nodding along and kind of going along with it. And then he's like, and then he starts getting a little freaked out. And then he like really kind of like, hey, what is going on? What are you doing? And then she kind of snaps out of it, but she's totally fine. She has no idea that she was just talking to him in fluent Russian.
Yeah.
And so he starts questioning, the scene goes on, but this kind of lore happens a lot in the UFO or alien phenomena where people claim that they have knowledge unlocked from either a previous time in their life where their memory has been erased, or from
a previous lifetime,
or a previous lifetime, or from
like they're reincarnated,
correct, or even ancient knowledge from an ancient entity.
Yes,
but there's always like a trigger moment. They don't know about it until something very specific, like, oh, I saw this bird. Another a really creepy trope is owls. Owls show up a lot 100%. in the phenomena. People who it's called a screen memory, basically. So people who have been abducted claim that, they'll have a lot of scary dreams, but with owls in them. And they don't know why it's scary, but it's scary. And then they'll do something like regression hypnosis, where somebody hypnotizes them into remembering what these things actually are. And instead of being an owl, they'll remember that, oh, this is actually a gray alien who has abducted me. So this is a kind of a similar trope, but not really. The cardinal isn't an alien, I don't think, in that, but it's sent by the aliens. I don't know.
No, I kind of think it was.
Oh, you think?
It's hard to say. They don't explicitly say it.
Yeah,
but I certainly, because it obviously triggered these like memories and unlocked something from her.
A power.
Yeah, she all of a sudden starts getting, again, superpowers, like a superhero. She can, and that, again, just the callback to Christianity, she can start speaking in tongues. So she speaks, a spirit entity encounters her, and she can start speaking in tongues. So she speaks fluently in another language, not unlike how the Book of Acts describes people when the spirit comes on them like tongues of fire, and then they can speak fluently in other languages.
They go into a marketplace. The apostles go from
Yes.
that meeting into a marketplace and start speaking in tongues that they don't know, but that other people understand them in.
Yeah.
And that's hit on a couple times.
Yes.
If you'll remember, Kellner has the
Yes.
ability to interpret tongues.
The interpretation of tongues. Yeah.
So Jordan, what's another gift of the Spirit that's unlocked in her? It happens basically on her way right after that encounter with the Cardinal. She's driving to her TV station because she's a weather girl. That's how this starts.
Yeah.
What happens?
She has the gift of prophecy.
That's right. And
Or some, like in our modern vernacular, telepathy.
yeah, telepathy. Yeah. So a cop pulls her over for some reason, and she's already late. She's running behind, and she's freaking out. And he walks up to her, asks for her ID, even though he explicitly states he knows who she is, but she's not going to get off easy, something like that. And then she looks at him in his eyes and gives him a bunch of personal information, reads his mail, if you will. That's how us charismatics might put it, or how a Pentecostal might put it is, she has a word of knowledge for his personal life, for a problem that he's having. And she basically speaks right to this cop's heart through this knowledge. And he's so dumbfounded, he just lets her go. And then she runs to the studio. And then what happens next? You remember
And then there's a Korean guy speaking in Korean.
He's
and
an
there's supposed to be
agitated guest of the news station.
And someone like sort of doesn't understand what he's saying. And
They're having a hard time interpreting.
yes. And she can interpret the tongues.
She just starts talking to him in Korean.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "What the heck? We've known you for years. When did you start speaking Korean?"
And she doesn't even realize she's speaking Korean.
Right.
Right.
Oh, yes. So that's a very interesting point as well. Yeah. So, and I would think that's kind of how I think that's probably an interesting interpretation of Acts, if you would.
Yeah.
Like maybe the apostles maybe they were speaking in what they thought in Aramaic.
Sure. Yeah.
What they thought was Aramaic,
Yeah.
but people weren't hearing Aramaic. They were hearing their own mother tongue.
So I will give an anecdotal story
Okay.
here, just as an interruption. And this is not an endorsement of the film's depiction of these.
Yeah, we're not endorsing this.
Spiritual gifts. I believe there are spirits that could give you abilities, potentially, that are not benevolent,
Definitely.
but they could be legitimate abilities. Leave it at that. I have my own anecdote, and this is just an anecdote,
Let's hear it.
where I was in my early 20s. I was on this missions trip, and there was a guy with us on the trip, and it was in I'll call it a Southeast Asian country.
Okay.
And we were there in the Southeast Asian country at a ministry meeting. And this guy is praying for a woman who is from the rural part of the country and does not know a lick of English. And he just starts praying for her. And she starts crying and getting very emotional. And he's like, well, she doesn't really understand anything I'm saying, but I'm just going to pray for her anyway. He finds out the next day, someone comes and tells him that this woman who didn't know English at all understood every word that he said.
Whoa. There we go.
And again, this is just an anecdote. This is just my own personal experience. I believe he was being truthful and I believe he is a credible witness to this phenomena.
Yep.
And
but an alien didn't give him that gift.
No extraterrestrials gave him that gift. But beware, for they dress themselves up as angels of light, as Paul says. So this I will say the phenomena sounds familiar to me.
Very
the
familiar.
phenomena definitely sounds familiar to me. It does not. It is also steeped in UFO lore, telepathy in particular, like the event with the cop where she reads his mail. This is all over UFO lore. It might not be mostly in the very popular conception of UFO lore, but if you get into the weeds, it is almost without exception. The gray aliens with big heads are communicating to you telepathically.
Also,
they are not talking to you in a language.
Also, this happens a lot in near-death experiences too. I guess they have get-togethers where they all joke. Like there's like near-death experience cons where they have a joke amongst themselves, like an inside joke, that things act up all the time. They come back with sometimes healing powers, sometimes speaking in tongues, different phenomena, electrical phenomena happens around them. They kill lights, they kill cars, they kill batteries, stuff like that. So yeah, there's this entire encompassing phenomena, whatever it is.
The way that consciousness is interacting with other consciousness without the typical five senses, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. So the next scene I want to hit on, and then I think we should just kind of like skip through the movie because we don't need to give.
Well, hold on. I want to say one thing. Okay. Just one more note about telepathy. It is very important in UFO lore.
Extremely.
If you look into people like Uri Geller, Andrzej Puharich, these guys are literally doing rituals to connect to alien species telepathically.
Yep.
They are. This is what they are doing, and they are doing it with government funding. They're doing it on
our dime.
Yeah, on the dole. They assume benevolence from these entities, whatever they're contacting.
Which is just the craziest thing to me. That's just so crazy.
Yeah. And we also have a more modern phenomenon like the telepathy tapes where people with nonverbal autism seem to appear, from the best evidence that I can tell, have telepathic abilities and strong telepathic abilities. So this all is sort of, there is this overlap, this interaction with these modern phenomena that we're seeing. I just want to make a note of that, just so people, an asterisk there, so people kind of can connect the modern lore that is being Easter egged into the film.
Yeah, weaved into it. Yeah, for sure. So in the next 2 minutes after this scene with this upset Korean correspondent that they have, she goes up to tell the weather and starts having another one of these seizures, these micro seizures. But she starts now speaking in what can only be assumed as like a babbling tongue. And it's a lot of clicks and pops and guttural noises, guttural throat noises, things like that. And I'm going to give you a spoiler here. So Kellner, do we touch on this? No, we don't. Okay, so Kellner's kind of whole backstory. So there's these two separate main storylines, main characters of the story. So Margaret and Kellner are like haven't met yet. They don't meet till quite a ways into the film. So Kellner has also had an experience with a cardinal, or what he thought was a cardinal, in the form of dreams, etc. So he kind of had his awakening though when he was in college for coding. And that's why this company hired him, because he's such a genius coder and so good at math. Well, the thing about him is he is able to hear this babbling tongue from Margaret, but in his brain, it sounds like English because of this awakened super mathematic ability. It just automatically translates into his brain as English words.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he sees for the first time footage of her speaking this tongue, he's going, I don't know what your guys' problem is. She's speaking perfect English. Like, what's going on here? But nobody else understands it. They just hear the clicks, the pops, the guttural noises. So anyways, there's another thing. So,
and at that scene, and I'm just going to bring up here a criticism I had of this movie. At that specific scene, as he's actually, no, maybe it's a little bit after, when he actually talks to her on the phone for the first time. She calls him.
Yeah. She gets a word of knowledge about what his number is, and she just calls it.
Correct. She calls it, and then but
it's a burner phone too. You couldn't know. Yeah. Anyway,
it's close to that scene, and he's still in this field where he had just seen her speaking this language, and he's able to interpret it in fluent English. And then all of a sudden, a crop circle forms around the field.
That's right.
And I thought this was kind of stupid.
Yeah, it didn't really make much sense to me.
Contributed zero to the plot.
Yeah.
It was pure nostalgia bait and fanfare. Like, I don't know why it was included in the film.
It's very strange.
It was like, oh, I just taught her and I had this great, we have this like magical connection because of the space alien gods, and now a crop circle forms. Like, it made no sense. I thought it was just ridiculous.
Yeah,
me too. That Spielberg included that in the film, but it was like it's almost like he was so intent on putting the UFO lore everywhere he could into the film, like to insert it at every given point,
even if it didn't really make narrative sense.
Yeah, even if it didn't help the plot at all.
But I mean, maybe we're just dummies and we need to like decode that. Maybe there's a meaning behind that crop circle. I don't know.
Yeah,
I kind of don't think so. But
I mean, it was the same. It was the same symbology as is on the ancient alien device that they use, the MacGuffin. But again, it just didn't really serve the plot at all.
Yeah.
And close to that scene, I just want to really touch on this because I think this is important, is the dive-in scene with Jane, which is Kellner's girlfriend, right? And
so for context, they've now escaped to a rural safe house, and it's in a very run-down house, like old farmhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost the setting for a horror film, if you would, right?
Yeah, and it's in. So he goes out in the field. He's making crop circles for whatever reason, and she's all alone in the house. And then all of a sudden, she starts getting what can only be described as possessed.
Yep.
She can't control her arms. Someone else is controlling her arms. Someone else makes her clap. And this is one of the antagonists of the film. Can you give me his name again?
Yeah, it is Noah Scanlon.
Yeah, Noah Scanlon, which is played by Colin Firth. And Noah is sort of one of the directors of this Wardex.
I would say he's kind of like the boss, basically.
Yeah. Private contractors who has all this proprietary tech and information, and they're trying to stop it from getting out, right? And so he grabs this ancient alien tech, takes a hold of it, and does this technique, which they call diving in. That's the verbiage they use. And he dives in on her, which is really just, he possesses her,
right,
and takes control of her body. There's a lot of symbology in this scene.
Like, first he targets her by they pull up a profile of her using all of their intel capabilities, and he stares at a picture of her on a screen And while
he
he's
focuses his consciousness.
yes, correct.
Yeah.
And then he's able, he basically astral projects until
Yes.
he finds her.
Yeah, correct. And this is how he's able to locate Kellner to try and stop him from releasing all his UFO files, which I'm going to give a little bit of a plot hole here. Kellner could have just uploaded this to the internet by himself.
They tried to hit that, but they never really properly explained it because he was told that. He was like, why don't you just upload?
Yeah. And it's never really, it's like kind of a plot hole here.
It's very strange.
That is like, well, okay. Okay. Anyways, I digress. So Noah takes control of Jane and he possesses her. And then she sees him manifest. He's not there physically, but he astral projects into the room that she's in, and he starts talking to her.
And she can see him.
She can see him, and he is holding in his office or in his facility. He's holding this device, this ancient alien device, and he is able to have these superhero powers and do this, have this superpower where he can possess her and also communicate with her. And they kind of have this long dialogue about religion and about
doing what's right to not shock people by releasing this. And wouldn't you do what? Oh, he even quotes. There's a Jesus quote in there too.
He quotes Christ. He says, if you take this cup from me, but not my will, but your will be done.
Right.
The scene in the Garden of Gethsemane.
And this is when Noah is trying to convince her to kill Kellner, her boyfriend, if necessary.
Mm-hmm. And he's basically priming her. He's turning, what he is doing is turning her into a Manchurian candidate who will just act based on sort of a mechanical trigger that will make her act against her own will, that she can no longer impose her own will on her own body, but a force outside of her will impose that will, and she will murder Kellner to stop the truth from coming out. Right. So this is sort of the premise here.
Now, she does resist him a couple times, right? And the way she resists him is she has a crucifix around her neck because she is an apprentice nun. And
sorry to interrupt, but she's still a theist. She still believes in God,
right?
Though she rejected like the nunship, or maybe I don't know exactly.
Maybe she's fell like away. It's not.
Maybe
really,
she's like a spiritual but not religious kind of person.
It's not really explained.
Yeah.
But
she still believes in God.
Yeah, she still believes in God. Yes. Yeah. And so while this possession against her will, so she's been fighting since he comes into her body. She's been fighting him, trying to get her faculties back. She's very disturbed by it. You can tell by the acting. It's really great acting.
Mm-hmm.
And she, as a last-ditch effort, while Noah is still trying to interface with her consciousness, I would say, she's able to grab the crucifix from around her neck, and she's holding it really tight in her, I believe it's her left hand.
Yes.
And she's so disturbed by what's happening, and she wants control back so badly that she starts to squeeze this crucifix into her hand to the point where it starts to draw blood and really cause her pain. Now, go ahead, Jordan.
And she creates a stigmata in her hand, so a hole in her hand like Christ. So the symbolism is just like crazy. Off the charts.
Yeah. And so what this does is it actually breaks that bridge, that consciousness bridge between Noah and her for a moment.
Yes.
And it sends him, he starts to have, because every time she breaks it forcefully, he, on the other side in his facility, he starts to have physical repercussions, blood pressure drops,
yes,
electrolyte drops, like all kinds of stuff. And so, unfortunately, he is able to reestablish connection, and she's not able to break it for quite some time after that.
And what happens is there's this one shot where she's squeezing the crucifix so hard that it's making her bleed and literally creating a stigmata on her hand. And then she drops it, and Christ, covered in blood. Drops on the floor and bounces and bounces.
Yeah,
and she drops Christ and loses Christ.
Right. Oh,
and
interesting.
becomes fully possessed by Noah.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, this is a type of crucifix with a little effigy of Christ on the cross. It's not just a cross.
And that is the typical Catholic crucifix. Right. So they always depict Christ on it. Other Christian traditions will not depict Christ because there's like disagreements about iconoclasm and stuff like that. But Catholics in particular depict Christ. So the imagery here, the symbology is just so on the nose.
Yeah, it's really on the nose, but it's on the nose, but I still don't think it's done that well. Like it could be done it's like Boomer on the nose.
It's true.
Like it could be done way, way more.
Maybe a little more subtle.
Yeah. Subtle or even more jarring.
Yeah.
Like, in a way more jarring way.
But so the other thing about this dive-in scene, which is also somewhat interesting, there's a lot of callbacks to MK Ultra, mind control, creating Manchurian candidates who will murder people. This literally, if you look into the publicly released files of things like Project Artichoke, the CIA was intent on figuring out ways to create Manchurian candidates who would assassinate people just based on mind control.
So you are right about that, but the other declassified project I would throw in there, which I think directly relates to this, is Project Stargate with remote viewing and remote.
So it's both.
Yeah,
it's both ends.
Yes, correct. This is
sort of combining both of these ideas.
But to the point where they even use kind of, I guess in remote viewing, the way they do it is they're just given a set of coordinates.
Mm-hmm.
And then the remote viewer has to just go into their meditation or their trance, their psychic, state, and go from there, and then just tell the control what they see, et cetera, et cetera. It's up to the control to decide whether or not it's legitimate. It's not up to the actual remote viewer.
Yeah.
But there's also been declassified documents as well from DARPA and stuff where they were trying to figure out how to get, and allegedly they did accomplish this. I don't know that that's true, but where they were able to assassinate people using exactly a dive-in technique.
This was 100% a thing that the CIA wanted to do, particularly during the Cold War.
Yeah.
They wanted to assassinate Stalin. They wanted to find an esoteric way to assassinate heads of the USSR in order to get an advantage during Cold War.
And funny enough, the Russians had the exact same program against us. They were doing the exact same thing, which is crazy.
Yeah, 100%. And so this is clearly, and to you and me, to our eyes, this is clearly like a callback to, it's sort of melding a bunch of these concepts together. Yeah. But it is like, okay, you and I, like, we see it. It's like, okay, obviously.
But I mean, you have to have been like, I mean, I've been reading about this stuff since I was like, since I was young, like 14, 15. So I know about it. And you and I have been talking about it for years. So it's kind of like, oh yeah, we've seen this before.
And there's also, and we'll get into this a little later, but also sort of the inducing of traumatic experiences so that you are more easily manipulatable. Easy to manipulate. Okay?
Yeah.
I'll say it that way. There is certainly that actually happened in our country at McGill University, which is Canada's more prestigious universities based in Montreal. And we were doing psychological experiments, intentionally inducing traumatic experiences to break people's psychology.
Yep.
In the basement of McGill University.
Which is insane to think about.
And I believe in the 90s, early 2000s, some of the victims actually sued the government, and there was a private settlement that was
they
reached.
won. They basically won.
They basically won. So again, if anyone thinks
the government of Canada apologized
Yes.
for it as well.
Yes.
Officially apologized.
If anyone thinks we're just like shooting off the hip here, like this is very well documented what was going on. So again, this inducing of traumatic experiences, changing your consciousness, being able to control your actions and possess you. There's all this overlap that I think is hard to ignore.
I think this brings us really to the cusp of all UFO lore, which is the abduction phenomena and what it means. So maybe I'll just explain kind of how it goes in the movie. So what happens is Kilner and Margaret's kind of contact, that is, we haven't touched on him. His name's Hugo. He's also another whistleblower, except he's in contact with this supreme intelligence, these aliens, etc. So he's kind of getting the plan.
Who also worked for Wardex.
Correct. He's a whistleblower from Wardex. So this whole time,
AKA Lockheed Martin.
Yeah, AKA. This whole time, basically what he does is he reconstructs Margaret's family home from when she was a child. So another thing we didn't tell you is that it's hinted at that she had some kind of trauma and she cannot remember past 10 years old, like before 10 years old.
She can't remember.
She can't remember. And so basically what ends up happening is they bring her to this reconstructed house of hers, her and Kilner. They both go in together. They are given the alien artifact to hold together. And they have to go through this regression therapy, if you will. Well, that is what it is.
We were in the theater. We were just chuckling.
Man, at the most inappropriate parts, probably. It's just like ridiculous. So they're both sitting there in her reconstructed bedroom. It's exactly the same as it was, and they're both sitting there. They both have their hands clasped together with this alien device, and they time travel into the past, into this traumatic moment. And basically what happens is some animals manifest into her room. There's the animals we mentioned before. There's a raccoon, there's a fox, there's a cardinal, and there's an elk. And they all stand in her room and they're looking at her. And then they decide that they're going to walk out of her room. So they basically walk through walls. And they kind of beckon her to come. But there's no real clear like beckoning, but she's just, as a child, you see her as a 9 or 10-year-old. And she's just, she can't help herself, but she follows them. She follows them into the woods. She follows these animals. Jordan, where does she go?
She, on multiple occasions, mentions Hansel and Gretel's house. A Hansel and Gretel house. They don't elaborate much. They just say Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah. And so these animals walk in to this house or this cottage style house in the woods.
It's like a fantasy, like ancient European fantasy house.
Yeah. It looks exactly how you picture in your mind as a listener what Hansel and Gretel's house looks like. And except it's full of light. There's light coming out of the windows. This giant door opens and there's light beaming out of it.
And if anyone remembers the story of Hansel and Gretel, it is a witch who lures children into her house so that she can eat them.
Yes.
I just want to put that top of your mind.
There's actually a couple of different versions and it's even darker than that. It's actually suggested that because the parents couldn't feed them, the parents sent them on a wild goose chase into the forest because they couldn't afford to feed them. And then that is where they meet the witch that wants to eat them. So it's very dark.
It is a reenactment of the sacrifice to Molech.
Yes,
in
exactly. Or
ancient
Baal.
ancient Mesopotamia.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And then so what we are treated with is, again, this is the cusp of this entire phenomena is an alien abduction scene where they are lying in a brightly lit room on tables, and these animals are standing over them with their big dark eyes. And then all of a sudden, they're not animals anymore. They are these gray, what's known as the grays in UFO lore.
Large heads, petite bodies, short, gray aliens,
almond shaped,
stringy fingers, right?
Almond shaped black eyes.
Yep.
And the kids start freaking out. So, and to mention, so Margaret and Kellner were abducted at the same time as children.
Together.
Yeah. So they
have this like magical connection.
They have a bond through this traumatic experience. And so what we see is a sort of programming that happens in this abduction scene where the aliens go under the table and reach their hands up around these kids' fucking faces with their creepy ass fingers. But it's all okay. But I'm framing it as creepy. In the movie, it's not framed as creepy.
It is depicted as a benevolent.
Yes.
It's like these kids are being enlightened.
Yes.
It is a great experience.
Like they're being shown how to save the world.
Yes.
And they're being blessed with these powers.
They're given superpowers so that they can save the world.
Yeah.
And that they're actually being abducted and molested by aliens.
Which is actually what's happening. Yeah. Yeah. And then so we see that these...
It's honestly, I was the most shocked by this. The way it was depicted.
It was... Yeah.
It was so...
But this is...
off-putting.
This is the mentality that
Yes.
that I guess the mainstream, I guess if we could call them, or the mainstream is trying to sell us right now, is that these things are benevolent. They're here to help us. You know, they're here to give us superpowers. And it's just
open up our telepathic abilities.
Yeah. You know, we just need to be more empathetic. They're more empathetic creatures than we are.
They will give us the knowledge of good and evil.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It just all harkens.
They will enlighten us.
Yeah, just all harkens back to the original story of the garden.
Yes.
So, yeah. So that's So they have this disturbing abduction scene, which they make seem all nice and pretty and fluffy. And it's like, it's almost like one of those things. Yeah, we know you're a little scared, but we're just going to give you this and it'll be fine.
And like the aliens, the ETs, they deceive these children. It's like, imagine a guy in the stereotypical guy in a white van goes and lures kids in with candy.
Right.
right. Like he is being very deceptive in order to abuse.
But Jordan, he doesn't want to scare them away. How else can he get them if he scares them away?
Well, I know. Yeah.
You're not like thinking about it.
They have to actually deceive you in order to do something good. And again, it's depicted as there's nothing wrong with this. This is actually like a good thing. We have to lie to you in order for you to accept our gifts from above.
Yeah. So that is basically, that's the most disturbing part, which is supposed to be the coolest part, I guess.
I was floored by how this was depicted.
Yeah.
And
the reaching around from the bottom was really like unnecessary.
It was so...
It was weird.
It was like they were trying to present it as creepy but benevolent at the same time.
Yeah.
Almost like trying to demoralize you, like trying to make you believe that your conception of morality and what is right and virtuous is wrong.
So, and let's just explain so people understand. So once the kids have seen kind of their true form, what happens is the alien devices that they've been using for their superpowers come down in a wreath, and there's like 20 of them on a ring, and they're spinning.
Yeah.
And they're kind of hypnotizing these kids, but the kids are looking away. So what's happening is that the aliens are, to me, it appeared like you can't actually see their body. You just see their hands, but the hands come from underneath the table around these kids' heads to hold the kids still so that they stare into the spinning alien device so that they can get,
as it like goes into their eye.
right, so that they can be programmed with these superpowers from this alien device. So that's the context. That's why
So they
it's
receive
so
the
strange.
knowledge of good and evil.
Yeah.
So, and there's also, let's just harken back to some UFO lore, like people who have found devices under their skin, pieces, very small fragments of metal that are hard to identify, it surgically implanted into their bodies. This has happened. There's what I
There's
believe
decent evidence.
is credible evidence that this has happened. And this scene it's not explicitly like they don't surgically insert anything into them, but it is like there's a procedure being done on the children.
To me, it seemed more like a programming, just how it was reflecting in their eyes.
Yeah.
Like they were unlocking something, like an ability, but only they could do it.
Yeah, it was very.
I'm almost surprised they didn't implant them, honestly.
Yeah, but got close to that. But it was just ambiguous, right? Yeah. Like about what exactly these entities were doing to them.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're starting to wrap it up now, I guess, because we're getting pretty close to the end.
Yeah. So immediately after this, Hugo.
It's way longer than this. We're skipping
we just skipped a bunch.
We want to just hit the.
Yeah, there's some important points we wanted to hit, and we're going to hit them here. So right after this scene, Hugo and Noah have an interaction through the device, through the ancient alien device. So
he dives in.
Noah astral projects into Hugo's room. And maybe it was actually before. I can't remember.
No,
before or after. It was around the same time.
Yeah, because that's how he finds them. No, I think it's right after or during, whatever's happening.
Yeah, whatever's going on. Anyway, it's close to the same scene. And Noah, they dive in and they're having this philosophical debate. Noah, being the antagonist, the bad guy, works for Wardex, the evil private company, and Hugo is just the upstanding citizen who wants to present the benevolent overlords to humanity, that they're going to enlighten us and bring human beings into the next age with all their deep knowledge.
It's just so great.
It's almost laughable.
He's Black Stephen Greer. That's all he is. He's Stephen
You made
Greer.
a comment after this that this was a Stephen Greer written script, and I totally agree with this. I endorse it.
Yeah,
Stephen Greer wrote this script.
Yeah, basically. If Eddie, you can look into him. He's a big disclosure guy. He's been around for years and years, but he is. His whole thing is they do this CE5 protocol, which is a meditation protocol. It's a group meditation protocol where you do it all together and the aliens come to you. Basically,
you manifest the aliens.
Typically in the form of lights. I've heard claims, but the footage I've seen has just been manifested lights, which is still pretty crazy on its own. If even a couple of them are true.
Yeah.
But his whole shtick is that it's all propaganda that aliens want to harm us in any way, shape, or form. It's not possible. They're all good.
Yeah.
And it's only bad humans that are
We're the problem.
Yeah, we're the problem. And
they're enlightened species who are coming to bring us gifts of knowledge.
Yeah, and they're the most empathetic things in the universe. They're a higher consciousness, blah, blah, blah. So that's his whole thing. That's always been his whole thing. And that's basically what this movie's interpretation of aliens is.
And it really comes in strong in this scene between Hugo and Noah. And again, the presentation is that the private for-profit corporation contractor is the enemy of the people knowing the truth and being enlightened. And this guy who is a whistleblower is going to show everyone the truth, right?
Yeah.
And he specifically, I can't remember the exact line, but it's something to the effect of, they will teach us empathy.
Yeah.
Which, if you don't know UFO cults, I'm going to give you a little lesson on UFO cults for the last 150 years.
Yeah.
It is the preeminent trope of every UFO cult that UFOs, the extraterrestrials, ETs, are a higher consciousness. It gets so far beyond just nuts and bolts, like they're from Zeta Reticuli. They are a consciousness that is going to enlighten humanity and bring us into our destined evolution, right? And we're going to be super empathetic, and we'll be like in the Star Trek future where there's no more money doesn't exist.
Yeah. And we just do things for the love of the thing.
Yeah.
We just clean toilets for the love of cleaning toilets.
We're very inclusive and not bigoted and empathetic, right? Like, again, this is the boomer hippie worldview being imposed on you, and the aliens, they're just trying to enlighten us, right? Yeah. And this is every UFO trope, every UFO cult. If you look into the Raelians, if you look even into the Scientologists,
the Raelians are really interested, by the way, super interested.
They are, absolutely.
They have cloned humans, allegedly. Which is pretty interesting. But anyway, sorry, different.
But this is the Heaven's Gate, right? Like these are Mormons even.
Yep.
This is the preeminent view of the extraterrestrials. I would say the people from the heavens, the entities from the heavens coming down to Earth. Let's talk about it in symbolic language, coming to Earth and giving us knowledge, giving us enlightenment, right, and making us more evolved, so we're not greedy and we're not murderous and we're not all the bad things that humans are, right. And this really comes through strong, and this scene in particular was really where, there's this funny meme in Star Wars, and if anyone knows, I do a Star Wars podcast called Star Lores. There's a meme called "The Empire Did Nothing Wrong," and it's sort of like an alt history of Star Wars, where
from the Empire's perspective,
the Empire's perspective, that they actually saved civilization.
Which is awesome.
It was this scene where I was like, Wardex did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe they were right.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't do it all the right way totally, but like maybe directionally. They were
in the right direction.
Yeah, they weren't totally wrong. Like, this is insane.
Yeah.
To try to contact these entities that we know nothing about, we're just going to give our whole selves to, we're going to open our religious institutions to, we are just going to dissolve the boundary and the border between the heavens and the earth.
Right.
And the whole symbology here. And so this is where I really started to turn on the perspective that was being presented by the preeminent boomer, Stephen Spielberg.
They do this. They also do this boomer thing where they show multiple clips of aliens being mistreated to alien bodies. So they kind of try and tug on your heartstrings, like they would, let's say, like a, I don't know, like a documentary about how farm animals are processed.
Yes. Yeah.
It's the same thing. They go, how could anyone do this to this poor cow or this poor chicken? Look at the horror, right? And stuff like that. So they show now. To be fair, it did, like, they made this private military contractor appeared like being cruel to the aliens. So, but really, what they're doing is they're just trying to get you to sympathize with them.
Yes,
and,
correct.
and just show that we're just so barbarous, we just can't handle it, right, or whatever.
And this is what I really
So
hate
boomer.
about a lot of Hollywood is the anti-human, anti-civilization perspective that it presents. That we are just barbaric savages who just want to destroy everything and kill everything, despite everything that Western civilization has built and created. And with all of its faults, we have made something incredible. We support a population of nearly 9 billion people. It is miraculous.
Yeah, it is.
And Hollywood just loves to make you feel low and bad about yourself.
And finger wag.
Yeah.
And just tell you how horrible you are for being alive.
And this is the boomer. There's this guy, he used to be in academia. His name's Nima Parvini. He is a ethnic Iranian, but British citizen. And he has like a channel called Academic Agent. I'm a fan of his. I don't agree with everything he says, but he has this great article that everyone should look up called The Boomer Truth Regime. And it is just like, it perfectly describes and articulates exactly what this movie is.
That's so funny.
It is the boomer truth regime.
Yeah.
It is, you are evil. You are killing the planet.
And killing aliens.
Yeah. You are killing the outsider. You are bad. You are evil. You should seek penitence for what you have done. And you should submit your will and your life to the extraterrestrials who are going to enlighten you. Shut up, be quiet.
Yeah.
and I don't know if this is my read of it, like
basically.
And this is what Nima Parvini describes as the boomer truth regime. Yeah. Right? Like, this is the post World War II consensus. This is everything we've built we should be ashamed of, and everything that's done we should feel ultimate guilt, and the people who did things in the past we should feel guilt for.
And also shut up and keep paying for my social security, please.
Absolutely. And there's another point I want to just really press in on is the presentation of war decks, aka Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, as the preeminent evil. Now, I have no love for Lockheed Martin Skunk Works. I'm sure you don't either. No. There's so much UFO lore about Skunk Works and proprietary technology that they may or may not have, information they may or may not have. I don't know. The thing that was sorely lacking was the malevolence, the evil, unconstitutional, anti-human behavior of the U.S. government. On this topic.
Yeah, it's all put on this kind of private
capitalist. It was scapegoated onto the private capitalist weapons contractor, which deserves tons of criticism. I could talk about it all day. I'm sure you could. We have no love for these private contractors. Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, the whole Boeing, the whole 9 yards. Right?
But the problem is that if the government just stopped robbing us to pay them, then they wouldn't be able to keep the secrets that they're keeping and act in the way that they're acting.
Private corporations. Private, I put that in air quotes, because that is not an accurate description of what these organizations are. These are creatures. These are absolutely creatures of the military industrial complex, which is created by the government, which is created by central banking and the powers behind that who want to obscure the truth, who want to hide the truth. And they want to scapegoat Skunkworks.
Right.
Which Skunkworks deserves all the criticism in the world. Don't
They
misunderstand.
still are at fault.
Yes. Don't misunderstand me whatsoever.
But there's almost no criticism of government power.
There's
in this.
zero. It is so absent.
There's
in
a
this
small,
film.
quick 2-second scene where there's a bunch of generals who are arguing with Noah from Wardex about what's happening.
But even the shocking thing about that scene is how disjointed from actual reality it is, because it presents the generals as the competent ones, the ones who have it all in order, and the private company.
Why don't you just let us help us?
Or
help
incompetent
you.
ones.
Let us help you.
Which is totally reverse.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, Skunkworks, the people that work at Lockheed Martin, are far more competent than the bureaucrats who work in the Department of War, Defense, or whatever you call it.
Exactly.
I guarantee you, 100%. The way that, again, just the way everything is presented in this movie is so skewed. It's so disjointed from reality that there's a lot of times where I just couldn't handle it. And the propaganda in this, the kayfabe in this, it is trying to present you. And I'm going to end with this. So I just laid out the case, how they present private corporations as evil. You can't trust them. They are really the powers that be, and our government has no control. At the very end of the movie, Kellner, rather than just going on YouTube or X or any social media to present his evidence to an independent arbiter, if you will, he goes to NBC, ABC, CNN, Fox News, BBC.
It's crazy.
And here, all these giant private media corporations that they tell you the truth. It's not the alternative. It's not Joe Rogan. Yeah. It's not these alternative,
which are alternative shows that are far larger than all of those corporate media entities put together.
And it is just the preeminent boomer perspective.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Fox News and CNN.
They'll tell me
tell me the truth
when the aliens are really here, and then we'll know for sure.
And this is how the movie ends. And it's just so frustrating.
It's so lame. So lame.
And I'm not even saying that Joe Rogan necessarily is.
Yeah.
He could be very well co-opted for all I know. I know a lot of people say he is. I don't know.
It's just not based in reality. Like the disclosure, like it might go through them, but probably the bigger shows are going to get it first, right? Like a Joe Rogan is going to get it first.
Yes.
Yeah. Like just.
It is just pure boomerism, boomer truth regime perspective, right? And this is there was a lot of UFO lore, which was interesting. Acting was phenomenal. There's some cool scenes, but it was the perspective that was put forward was a dying breed of people who are trying to cling on to power and keep their legacy alive, and it's just not going to work.
No, it's not.
And I don't know. One last thing I wanted to touch on before we shut this down is, Skyler, what do you think? Do you think Spielberg was put up to this? And I'll set some context here. He had essentially retired from making film. I think the last film he made was about 5 years ago or something. I can't quite remember. And he had more or less retired from making any films. And he's kind of old. He sort of had his day. And he came out of retirement specifically to do this film. And at I think like South by Southwest, I could be wrong. Someone fact check me on that. But I think he specifically said that the government never consulted him on this film, and he specifically kept them out, because if anyone knows the history of the Department of Defense and the CIA, they literally have departments in their agencies who are PR departments who consult with Hollywood, and they read scripts and they approve scripts, specifically if you have like Top Gun is a great example. Yeah. Top Gun was heavily consulted by the Department of Defense, and the Department of Defense allowed the producers of the film to use all their props to make the film, but they approved the script. Yeah. Right. So, and they have been notorious for changing scripts to fit their specific narrative. Now, Spielberg specifically denied this because he was asked these questions. I am somewhat skeptical of this, even if maybe it's the case that he did not have to consult with the government because he was already putting forward their perspective on the issue.
I think maybe so. Typically, when the DOD comes in and changes things in a movie, it's because they very specifically are depicting the American forces in some way. That's what, and so I think how he danced around that by not using any governmental force.
It was almost non-existent.
Yeah, there's
like some vague references.
Yeah, there's vague references to them, but there's no actual like there's no U.S. Army, there's nothing. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean that there wasn't other agents in there influencing him. Yeah, guys like Lou Elizondo, guys like Hal Puthoff,
Stephen
Greer. I mean, he wrote this. I'm sorry, he absolutely wrote this. There's just no I can't believe he's not involved somehow. At least on a phone call or something. Like, these guys might not get credits, but there's influence from the disclosure camp for sure. But what they are is they're just disseminating already agreed upon government approved narrative. Yep. So that's how I feel. Propaganda, Phil.
And to further bring home this propaganda thesis, literally the day that the film came out, the UFO files from the government at UFO.gov, I believe.
No, I think it's war.gov, actually. Oh, isn't it at war.gov?
They have been releasing tranches of files. They literally released their third tranche of files the day that this film opened. The day that this film opened, Trump posted on his Truth Social this vague post that was immediately deleted. It was posted for seconds, I guess, or a couple minutes, of him. It was almost like a secret photographer in the bushes taking a picture of him talking to tall Nordics.
Yeah, I saw that too.
If you know.
Now, I heard a different story that it was actually posted on Reddit and then immediately deleted. That's what I heard.
I've been trying hard to find the
source. Yeah, I know. Me too.
It's strange. Anyways, this all happened the same day as it released. So I could be wrong. I thought I had read that Trump had posted it on True Social.
Weird.
But you could be right. I could be wrong. So
I read that too. So I don't know. I read both.
Yeah. Again, it's just my guess is it was a fake picture. It was just AI. Again,
oh yeah, for sure it was. Yeah. But if he really posted on Truth, I mean, that's crazy.
Why would he do it? Yeah. Like what is the and a couple weeks ago he also posted a picture of some aliens in handcuffs getting perped walk with him.
Right, that's right. That was hilarious.
And it's just like this very vague posting, cryptic.
Crap.
Like boomer.
Yeah, just boomer posting. Oh, man.
Boomer posting. And again, I don't know I can't say for sure what is going on. Maybe it's misdirection from something like the Iran war. Who knows? None of us know. But I do know that they are trying to get us. They're trying to convince people to accept entities from the heavens who are going to enlighten you and give you special knowledge. And they're going to fill you with gnosis.
Yeah.
And they're going to teach us how to be peaceful and not warlike.
And be more empathetic.
And be more empathetic. And if there's anything I could give you to take away from this, don't listen to that bullshit.
Yeah, don't listen to any of it.
Don't listen to any. They are chronic liars. They can't help themselves from lying. All they do is lie. Make sure to go rate and review this show. Follow us on social media. Subscribe to us on YouTube. If you enjoyed this episode in particular, let us know. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you.
See you later.
And it's fun, and the storylines absorb you in a way where you never know what's true and what's not. We know wrestling's fake. We're told wrestling's fake. But there's something legitimate about it that seems to me more legitimate than anything else. The most legitimate. Because it's the closest to what the world's actually like. People don't always tell you what they really think. And when someone tells you a story, it might not really be the true story. They may even think, they may think they're telling you the real story. And that might not be the real story. We don't know. We know so little. We experience something and then we make up a story to understand it ourselves. And then forevermore, when we tell that story, it was our version of an experience, but we don't know that's what happened. That was our take on it. Wrestling is like, that's what the real world is like. Because when you watch wrestling, you never know what's true. That's what, if you watch the news like you watch wrestling and you never know what's true, it would be more accurate. You'd have a better sense of the world if you took it all in like it was pro wrestling.